Gentlemen, we live in a world where words are often filtered, restrained, or disguised, but actions rarely lie. When a woman is emotionally invested, her behavior will say the things her pride, ego, or fear won't allow her to say out loud. Especially when she misses you. She might never send that "I miss you" text. She might never say it face to face. But if you pay attention, her actions will reveal the truth she's trying to hide. When a woman truly misses you but doesn't want to admit it, one of the first and most telling signs is when she randomly reaches out for no real reason. It might seem innocent on the surface, almost accidental, but beneath it lies a carefully hidden emotional storm. She might shoot you a quick "Hey, hope you're doing well," or ask something seemingly insignificant like "Do you remember that funny video we saw?" or "What was the name of that restaurant we went to?" These aren't real questions. These are emotional check-ins wrapped in casual language. It's not the video, not the restaurant. It's her trying to re-establish a connection, trying to remind herself that there's still a line between you and her, however thin. These moments often come out of nowhere, not because she suddenly needed the answer, but because she couldn't bear the silence anymore. Sometimes she'll disguise her message as needing help. Maybe she asks you about a technical issue she could have Googled, or about advice she never needed before. Why? Because asking for your help allows her to initiate contact while preserving her pride. It makes the shout appear utilitarian rather than emotional. She gets to hear from you, interact with you, even if for a fleeting moment, without having to admit that she misses the sound of your voice or the way your name looked on her screen. There's also the timing of it all. You'll notice her messages often come late at night or early in the morning, at times when her guard is down, those quiet hours when emotions swell and distractions fade. That's when loneliness strikes the hardest, and that's when you find that seemingly harmless "Hey stranger" text. It's not just about curiosity, it's about comfort. You're her emotional comfort food, and her reaching out is like taking a bite of something familiar that reminds her of better days. She might tell herself she's just being friendly, or that she's bored, but the truth is buried deeper in her subconscious. She's craving the emotional connection that once existed between you two. What's even more revealing is how she behaves after you respond. If she was just reaching out for a specific answer or reason, she'd get what she needed and be done with it. But when she lingers, keeps the conversation going, asks more follow-up questions than necessary, or throws in a laugh emoji where it wasn't really needed, that's emotional glue. She's trying to hold your attention, trying to draw out the interaction, hoping you'll take over and carry the dialogue like old times. Even when she pretends to keep it short, the next message still comes a few days later, followed by another, and then another. A breadcrumb trail she hopes you'll follow. You'll also find that she tests the waters emotionally. Maybe she shares a personal update or hints at feeling off lately, just to see if you still care. Her subtle complaints about being tired, stressed, or lonely are invitations, carefully placed emotional hooks waiting for you to bite. If you do, it gives her the comfort of your attention without having to directly ask for it. If you don't, it stings, but it also confirms the fears she's too afraid to voice. Even the platform she uses to reach out says something. Maybe she texts instead of calling to keep the distance while still staying connected. Maybe she reacts to your story instead of messaging you outright, testing how receptive you are before diving into deeper waters. She might even send a song link, a meme, or a quote that just made her think of you. And while she can pretend it was just something random, In her heart she knows it's because she misses how it felt when you laughed together, how you understood her without needing explanations. This form of communication is quiet, cautious, and calculated. It's how a woman who is emotionally vulnerable but ego-protected tries to reach out, because saying "I miss you" directly comes with risk of rejection, of appearing weak, of giving power away, but creating these soft moments of connection. That feels safer. It gives her the illusion of control while still feeding her need for emotional closeness. She might never admit to herself or anyone else that she initiated that message because she was sitting alone, replaying old conversations, wondering if you were thinking of her too. But in that moment, when her fingers hovered over the keyboard, typing and deleting before finally pressing send, what she was truly saying in the most silent yet undeniable way was, "I miss you. Please don't forget me." When a woman misses you but doesn't want to say it, one of the most emotionally revealing behaviors she'll display is the way she brings up old memories, sometimes in the most unexpected moments, when it seems like they've been buried and forgotten. This isn't coincidence, and it's certainly not just nostalgia. It's emotional anchoring. The human mind clings to experiences that had emotional weight, and for her, those moments you shared together, whether they were romantic, joyful, intimate, or even challenging, are now emotionally loaded. When she casually brings up something you did together, or an inside joke only you two would understand, that's not her being chatty. That's her reaching out to the emotional version of you that still exists in her mind. You might notice it in small, almost throwaway comments. She'll say, "Remember when we used to always get lost trying to find that coffee shop?" Or "I walked by that pizza place you loved today." To anyone else, these are just mundane details, but to her, they're triggers, emotional doorways that reopen the connection. She's not sharing the memory because it's relevant. She's sharing it because it still holds a place in her heart. What's more revealing is how she reacts afterward. Sometimes she'll laugh, sometimes she'll sigh, and sometimes she'll go silent, as if the weight of the moment hit her harder than she expected. That's not just a trip down memory lane. That's her emotional self saying, "I'm still here. I haven't moved on as much as I pretend I have." There's also a strategic aspect to this. She knows exactly which memories to bring up. She doesn't remind you of the arguments or the dull routines. She reminds you of the laughter, the late-night talks, the time you both danced in the kitchen or stayed up watching the stars. She chooses the memories that made her feel close to you, the ones that made her feel safe, cherished, and understood. It's her way of testing whether those memories still make you feel something too. Because if you respond with warmth or emotion, that gives her hope that the door isn't completely closed. If you brush it off or respond coldly, it hurts, but at least she knows where she stands. These memory mentions also serve another purpose. They're her way of expressing vulnerability without admitting it. In many cases, especially after a breakup or a period of distance, it's hard for a woman to just say, "I miss what we had." So instead, she says, "Remember when?" It's safer. It allows her to speak her truth without exposing her heart fully. But underneath the words, there's a longing, a desire to relive those moments or at least know that they mattered to you too. And then there's timing. These memory bombs often drop when she's alone at night or going through emotional lows. Maybe she was scrolling through old pictures or heard a song that reminded her of you. These aren't just memories, they're emotional mirrors. When she brings them up, she's not just trying to remind you of the past, She's trying to recreate the feelings, even if just for a fleeting second. And when she does that, what she's really doing is saying, "This meant something to me. I hope it still means something to you." You'll also notice that these memory mentions often lead to a shift in tone. What starts as a light-hearted message sometimes ends in silence, or a sudden moment of sadness, or even confusion. That's because she's not just playing a game. She's dealing with emotions she hasn't resolved. The past is her safe place, and when the present feels cold or uncertain, those memories become emotional shelter. In sharing them with you, she's not just reminiscing. She's inviting you back into that shelter, hoping you'll step inside, even if just for a moment. And here's what most men miss. The way she brings up memories is often a cry for emotional validation. She wants to know she's not the only one holding on. She wants to believe that those moments were as special to you as they were to her. That they weren't just fleeting pleasures, but meaningful connections. Because if they were real for both of you, then maybe, just maybe, what you had isn't entirely gone. Social media in today's world has become a modern mirror of our emotional state. And for a woman who misses you but is too guarded or prideful to admit it, this is one of the most subtly expressive tools she will unconsciously use to speak what she cannot say aloud. You see, when a woman is emotionally detached and has truly moved on, her social media becomes either a distant background or a neutral space. But when she's still emotionally tethered to you, especially if she's trying to maintain distance or avoid being vulnerable, her online presence takes on a very specific, calculated tone. Every story she posts, every picture she uploads, every quote she shares, and even the way she engages with your content begins to serve a deeper, unspoken purpose. She starts broadcasting her emotions through digital smoke signals that only someone who truly knew her would recognize. One of the first subtle signs is the increase in her posting activity. Maybe she was never the kind to share much online, but suddenly she's updating her stories frequently. You'll notice selfies with captions that carry a tone. Sometimes it's light and happy, other times it's mysterious or introspective. She may post pictures with friends, looking like she's out living her best life, surrounded by laughter, nightlife, or scenic escapes. But what's important is not the image itself. It's the timing and the intention behind it. If these posts seem to increase right after a long silence between you two, or after she notices you're no longer engaging with her, it's not a coincidence. It's a reaction. It's her trying to reclaim attention without asking for it directly. She wants to be seen, noticed, remembered. Then come the emotional or suggestive quotes. These are not random reposts. They are carefully selected reflections of her inner world. Maybe she shares something like, "Sometimes silence is the loudest cry," or "I miss conversations that made me feel understood." These aren't public confessions. They're coded messages. She's hoping you'll read them and understand that behind her facade of strength or detachment, there's a longing that still exists. Or maybe it's something more direct, like, "He'll never find another me." A passive, aggressive reminder meant to linger in your mind and stir emotions. These kinds of posts often appear after she's been thinking about you, revisiting your profile, or hearing your name through mutual friends. And then there's the story, watching behavior. It seems minor on the surface, but it's one of the most telling signs. She may never like your posts, never comment, never send you a message, but she watches every story you post, sometimes within seconds of you uploading it. It's not an accident. It's an emotional habit. Her eyes are still drawn to your life because, emotionally, she hasn't let go. She may not want to reach out, but she still wants to feel close, to stay informed, to keep that emotional tie alive, and she hopes, consciously or not, that you'll notice. That you'll feel her digital presence and recognize her silent attention as a form of longing. Sometimes her behavior is more complex. She might unfollow you for a while to create distance, or as a way to trigger a reaction, but she still checks your profile through a second account or by asking friends. Other times, she'll interact with your content indirectly. Maybe she likes a post from 3 weeks ago, or accidentally or not so accidentally likes a comment you made on someone else's photo. These actions, although small, are echoes of her emotional state. She's trying to see if you're watching her back, if you still care, if your heart is still somewhere near hers in that silent online dimension. She might also post things designed to spark jealousy, or make you feel like she's thriving without you. A picture with another man, a night out with a suggestive caption, or even a tagged photo in a place you both used to visit. But if you look closer, you'll notice the subtle cues. Her eyes not quite smiling, the timing suspiciously aligned with a memory or date that mattered between you two, or even the choice of music she adds to the post. These are all strategic moves, not always conscious but emotionally driven. She wants to feel in control, to project an image of strength, but the underlying motive is clear. She wants you to feel something, even if it's jealousy or regret. Because feeling something, anything is better than emotional silence. Social media gives her a platform to silently scream, to express her inner chaos without having to confront vulnerability. It's safer to type than to talk. It's easier to curate an image than to admit weakness. But if you really know her, if you were emotionally tuned into her during your time together, you'll see through the filters and emojis. You'll recognize that beneath the glow-ups and cryptic posts is a woman who still thinks about you, who still checks to see if you've moved on, and who still, in the quiet spaces between her posts, misses you more than she dares to say out loud. When a woman misses you but refuses to say it, one of the clearest giveaways is the way she subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, stays within your orbit. She may have pulled away physically, and she may act like she's emotionally detached, but somehow she's still around. She finds a way to stay in your circle, your world, like a quiet shadow that refuses to disappear completely. And what's remarkable is how easily this kind of behavior gets overlooked. Most men expect that if a woman truly misses them, she'll come running back with a grand confession. But women often operate differently, especially when emotions are involved and pride is on the line. They don't always come back directly. Sometimes they linger around the edges, finding ways to be close without actually stepping into the light. One of the most common ways she does this is by staying connected to the people in your life. She might still message your sister, check in with your best friend, or casually like a post from someone you're close to. And if anyone asks, she'll claim it's just because she really liked them, or built her own friendship with them. But that's rarely the full truth. Maintaining those connections isn't just about the people themselves. It's about staying linked to you. She's trying to keep a foot in your world, to ensure that the door hasn't been completely closed. Every conversation she has with someone close to you is a soft attempt to still feel your presence, to stay updated on your life without having to ask you directly. Then there are the chance encounters that don't feel so coincidental once you look deeper. She starts going to the gym you frequent again, shows up at mutual events, or checks into places you used to go together. Maybe she's suddenly at the same coffee shop where she knows your mornings start, or she's tagging herself in restaurants she knows you love. It might appear spontaneous to others, but it's not. She's deliberately placing herself in spaces that increase the chances of a bump in. Why? Because there's a small hope that you'll notice her, approach her, or feel something when you see her. Even if she acts surprised or indifferent when it happens, deep down, it was part of the plan. Another quiet but telling behavior is how she keeps herself in your peripheral view through shared interests. Maybe she never used to care about a certain band, podcast, or book series, but now she's suddenly into it. And not just casually, she's posting about it, engaging with content around it, making herself visible in the areas she knows matter to you. It's a form of emotional camouflage. By aligning herself with the things you care about, she creates an invisible emotional bond, hoping it will trigger familiarity, connection, and maybe even communication. Let's not forget the digital traces either. She might not message you directly, but she still checks your updates. She watches your stories, likes your posts sporadically, just enough to stay on your mind, not enough to look desperate. She might remove you from her following list and then refollow weeks later, or she'll lurk without ever interacting. And yet, somehow, she always seems to know what's going on in your life. That's because she's paying attention, even if from afar. She may not have the courage or desire to restart the conversation, but the emotional attachment is still present evident in how invested she remains in what you're doing and who you're doing it with. Sometimes she takes it even further and uses mutual friends as messengers. She'll ask them casually how you're doing, what you've been up to, or whether you've moved on. And those same friends, knowingly or not, will deliver those questions back to you. It becomes this emotionally complex dance where neither of you speaks directly, but everything is still being communicated through others. That's not someone who's done. That's someone who's silently searching for a way back in, without having to sacrifice their pride. There's also a layer of emotional testing she conducts. She might bring up your name in conversations with others, especially in your circle, just to gauge their reactions. Is he still talking about me? Did he move on quickly? Is he seeing someone else? These indirect investigations are her way of collecting data without confronting the vulnerability that comes with directly asking you. If you were just a chapter she closed, she wouldn't care. But the fact that she still seeks information, disguised as curiosity or casual talk, is proof that her emotional door is still slightly open. And here's what's really fascinating. Her desire to stay in your orbit often comes with emotional contradictions. She might say things like, "I just want to move on," or "I don't think we should talk anymore." But her actions scream otherwise. She blocks you, then unblocks you. She deletes your number but still remembers it. She claims she's focusing on herself, but she keeps showing up in the background of your life like an unfinished sentence. That contradiction is rooted in the emotional tug-of-war happening inside her. Her heart misses you, but her ego and mind are trying to protect her from getting hurt again. She may even try to create moments that invite your attention, posting something emotional on your birthday or uploading a picture of a gift you once gave her. These aren't random acts, they are quiet cries. They're her way of telling you, "I haven't forgotten you. I hope you haven't forgotten me." Staying in your circle without being directly in your life allows her to balance vulnerability and protection. She doesn't have to risk rejection, but she still gets to feel connected. It's the emotional equivalent of walking on the edge of a cliff, close enough to feel the air, but far enough to avoid the fall. When a woman misses you but doesn't want to openly admit it, one of the most powerful yet overlooked signs is the way she reacts, emotionally and sometimes irrationally, When other women appear in your life, whether it's a new friend, an old acquaintance, or even a random female follower interacting with your content, her mood shifts, her curiosity flares up, her silence grows louder. It's not always overt jealousy where she confronts you or starts dramas. Sometimes it's so subtle, it hides behind sarcasm, coldness, dismissiveness, or strategic emotional withdrawal. But make no mistake, her mind is spiraling and her heart is unsettled. Because despite all the walls she may have built, the idea of you emotionally connecting with someone else unsettles the delicate web of emotional control she's been trying to maintain since the distance between you began. Let's break this down. You post a story and a woman comments something playful. Maybe it's innocent, maybe it's not, but within minutes she's seen it. Maybe she doesn't say anything, maybe she even likes the story herself. But inside, she's registering everything. She's analyzing the tone of the comment, the familiarity of the interaction, the frequency of this other woman's appearance. If you were a man she no longer cared about, it wouldn't matter. But if she's emotionally tethered to you, those small interactions become emotional threats. They spark a sense of competition. Her heart begins to imagine scenarios, and even though she won't ask you directly, her behavior changes. She might grow cold. She might disappear for a few days. Or she might overcompensate by posting something herself to grab your attention back. Either way, her internal emotional world has been stirred. You might notice her bring up these other women in passive ways. She might say, "So, who's that girl you were with in your post?" but say it with a smirk that doesn't match her eyes. Or she might say nothing at all, but suddenly post something herself that seems oddly timed. A sexy picture, a flirty caption, or a living my best life post. She's trying to reclaim emotional power. Seeing you engage with another woman challenges her belief that she still has a place in your life. So, her instincts kick in, and she tries to reassert her presence without saying it outright. It's not just jealousy, it's a fear of being replaced. A fear that you'll give to someone else what you once gave to her. Sometimes the jealousy doesn't even require a real woman in your life. Just the idea of one is enough to send her emotions into overdrive. Maybe you mentioned you've been talking to someone in passing, or a friend of yours jokes about you dating. That seed is all she needs. Her imagination fills in the blanks, and that emotional uncertainty makes her more reactive. She might pull away, stop engaging, or even confront you indirectly with comments like, "Well, it seems like you've moved on already." And though her words sound indifferent, her tone betrays the emotion behind them. She's not upset because you've moved on. She's upset because deep down she thought you hadn't, and now she's confronted with the painful possibility that you might be slipping away. Even more telling is how she starts comparing herself, often in silence. She'll look at the woman you're talking to or spending time with and begin a mental war of comparison. Is she prettier, funnier, more your type? Does she have something that I didn't? These thoughts eat away at her confidence, and yet she'll never confess them out loud. Instead, they manifest in small changes. Maybe she starts dressing differently, picking up hobbies she knows you like, or re-emerging with a slightly different attitude. She's adapting, competing in silence. It's her way of trying to win back unseen ground in your heart, all without ever acknowledging the battle she's fighting. What's deeply ironic about all of this is that she might simultaneously act like she doesn't care. She'll try to play it cool, act nonchalant, even say things like "I'm happy for you," or "she seems nice." But if you pay close attention, The energy behind those words doesn't match their surface. Her eyes avoid yours when she says them. Her tone is flat, or she follows those words with a long silence, a shift in energy or sudden distance. She's trying to wear a mask of indifference while her heart is pounding underneath, because acknowledging that she's jealous would mean admitting that she still wants you. And pride doesn't let her do that easily. In some cases, this jealousy becomes protective. She'll warn you subtly about certain women. Be careful with her. She seems like she plays games. Or I heard she's not the type to stick around. She'll disguise it as concern, but underneath is territorial energy. She still sees you as hers, even if she's not willing to fight for you openly. Her instincts kick in when she sees someone else entering the emotional territory she once occupied. And no matter how evolved or emotionally intelligent she may be, jealousy is primal. It bypasses logic. It reveals what words hide. And in her case, it's a mirror reflecting that no matter how far she's gone, her heart hasn't fully let go. This emotional jealousy, cloaked in sarcasm, passive aggression, strategic silence, or sudden engagement, is a language of its own. It's how a woman tries to protect the emotional bond without admitting it still exists. She won't text you, "I miss you," and it hurts to see you with someone else. But she'll watch your stories with hawk-like intensity, react to your posts when another woman appears, and post something of her own that screams, "Look at me. I'm still here." And that right there is the message her pride won't let her say aloud. Asterisk, you're still mine, even if I can't say it. Asterisk, when a woman misses you but doesn't want to face that truth, one of the most ironic and psychologically layered things she'll do is try to make asterisk you asterisk feel jealous. This behavior, though subtle or masked behind casual social interaction, is often deeply emotional and deliberate. It may not seem obvious at first because she disguises it as empowerment, fun, or just living her life. But if you know what to look for, you'll start to see the intent. She's not trying to move on. She's trying to get a reaction. She wants to know that she still affects you, that she still lives somewhere inside your emotional world. Because if she can get under your skin, if she can make you feel something, it gives her proof that you haven't truly let her go either. She might begin with posting more frequently on social media, particularly showing off her appearance, her confidence, or her new carefree lifestyle. You'll notice the tone of her posts shift. Instead of random life updates or casual content, it becomes emotionally charged, suggestive, or crafted to provoke. There's more skin, more smiles, more captions that hint at flirtation or inner satisfaction. She wants to give the impression that she's thriving without you. But beneath that curated confidence is a challenge, a question. Asterisk, are you watching? Are you feeling this? Does this bother you? Asterisk, these aren't empty gestures. They're deeply emotional provocations aimed at you. It may go further than that. She starts posting pictures with other men, friends, co-workers, exes, or even people she's only known for a short time. The important detail isn't who these men are, but how they are presented. The angles are intimate. The body language is close. The timing is specific, right after you've gone silent, right after you've been seen with someone else, or right after she's been reminded of your absence. And while she'll never tag these guys as boyfriends or say anything explicitly romantic, the ambiguity is intentional. It creates uncertainty. It's designed to make you think. And that's the point. Asterisk, she wants to take back emotional control by shaking your certainty. Asterisk, you might also see her use suggestive captions that don't directly say anything about another man but imply intimacy, connection, or new beginnings. Phrases like "finally found peace," "real men do real things," or "some people teach you what love is by walking away," they're loaded, not because they're true, but because they're designed to trigger a feeling in you. And that feeling is not about her happiness. It's about your place in her life. She's trying to paint a picture that says, someone else is doing what you didn't, hoping it hits you deep enough to stir doubt, regret, or even jealousy. It's emotional chess, and you're the opponent she's trying to draw out of hiding. What's even more fascinating is how she tracks your response. She watches to see if you viewed the story. She checks if you liked the post or left a comment. She studies whether you go silent or reach out afterward. Every bit of interaction from you is validation that her efforts worked, that she still matters. And if you don't react, she notices that too. And it bothers her, not because she's over you, but because her entire motive in making you jealous was rooted in a desire to reconnect. Even if indirectly, even if through emotional warfare. Sometimes this tactic becomes more personal. She brings up other men in conversation with mutual friends, knowing it'll get back to you. She starts hanging out in places you used to go together, but with someone new. Or maybe she suddenly shows interest in a guy you always knew she didn't like, just to push a boundary. She might even tell a mutual acquaintance something like, "He's really sweet, and he treats me better." And that line, when it reaches your ears, isn't meant for information. It's meant for impact. She wants it to linger in your mind. She wants it to sting, because pain in her eyes means you still care. But here's the paradox. While she's doing all this to make you jealous, she's often battling her own jealousy at the same time. Her actions are a projection of what she feels. She's jealous of the idea of you moving on, of giving someone else the emotional presence you once gave her. She's jealous of any woman who now receives the attention she used to have. So in her attempt to make you feel what she's feeling, she puts on this emotional performance. One that's equal parts seductive and strategic, but entirely fueled by unspoken longing. You'll also see it in the way she re-engages with you suddenly after going cold. She might like your photo right after posting one with another guy, or she might slide into your DM with a cryptic message that hints at connection. "You always liked this song," she might say, or "I saw something today that reminded me of you." And just when you're drawn in, just when you start to believe the wall between you is coming down, she vanishes again. This push-pull dynamic is not accidental. It's her way of keeping you emotionally tethered, of maintaining power in a situation where she otherwise feels emotionally exposed. Even her silence can be part of the plan. She might go completely dark for days, weeks, or longer. No likes, no views, no stories. But then, out of nowhere, she re-emerges with something that she knows will grab your attention. The disappearance is not always a sign of disinterest. It's sometimes a setup, a way to build emotional tension so that when she finally drops the "look at me" a moment, the impact is stronger. It's psychological manipulation wrapped in emotional vulnerability. At the core of this attempt to make you jealous is an aching truth. She misses being wanted by you. She misses the attention, the emotional certainty, the sense of security your presence gave her. And rather than admit that directly, because doing so would feel like surrendering her pride, she tries to reverse the dynamic. She wants you to feel what she feels. She wants you to chase. And if she can't get the words from your mouth, she'll settle for the fire in your reaction. That fire tells her, in a language more primal than speech, Asterisk, you still want me to. Asterisk, so understand this. When a woman misses you but can't admit it, her silence will speak through actions, reactions, and even contradictions. She might never utter the words, "I miss you," but her energy will pull at you, her behaviors will orbit your presence, and her choices will quietly echo the bond you once shared. As a man, if you're emotionally aware and observant, you'll learn to listen beyond the words. Pay attention to her patterns, her timing, her subtle emotional messages hidden behind posts, late-night texts, and random check-ins. You don't need her to say it out loud to know the truth, because when her heart is still tied to yours, it will always leave a trail. The question is, are you wise enough to see it?